Wait, who's called?
Hey Jacob, you said Scream 7 was awful.
Wait, no I didn't.
You better shut that mouth before I gut your YouTube channel by deleting it.
What? Well, hello there everyone, my name is Jacob and welcome back to MNM Movies, the channel where we do reviews and rankings of all the popular movies coming out this year. And today, we have a treat for you because Scream 7 has just released in cinemas, I have seen it. And basically the premise is Sidney Prescott has a daughter and has started a new life with her, restarting everything that made her life hell in the original movies. But of course, this can't happen, so Ghostface returns again. Now, Scream is a franchise that's quite interesting. So it's one of the few franchises that have actually been able to consistently maintain its quality up until this point. And my least favorite Scream movie was Scream 3, and that was still what I considered to be a decent movie and an enjoyable watch. But at the same time, it has never been able to top the original movie, so I don't know if that's even possible in most genres, but definitely not here. Now, obviously, when we talk about this movie, we've got to consider there has been a lot of drama behind the scenes. I'm not really going to go into any of it, really. Obviously, Melissa Barrera said some things. Someone didn't like it. Basically, she's gone. And same with a lot of the cast left with her, and you know, director gone, and they brought in Christopher Landon, but he quickly left the project because he was getting death threats. So by the way, that is awful, don't do that. And then they brought in Kevin Williamson as kind of a last ditch effort to save the movie. And Kevin Williamson is not famous for directing at all. In fact, he is famous for his writing. So I don't know if this was gonna be a good movie based on expectations, but I also had faith in the Scream franchise. They've always pulled off at least an enjoyable watch, so I was hoping for at least that. Now let's talk about the tone and I guess the vibe of the movie. The movie has these real big shifts from being really dark and then straight into lighthearted. It kind of doesn't really know what it wants to be. And there actually isn't really a blatant style to the film. That probably is due to the director. We kind of just have this generic or trying to be like the other movies style, which say what you want about Scream 5 and 6, but they felt really cinematic. And yeah, we didn't really have any of that here. So while it wasn't inherently bad, it just didn't stand out for me. The pacing here was really just trying to rush, and that could be because this is the 4th edition of the movie. We basically skip over entire relationships. The only real one that gets focused is Sydney and her daughter. Apart from that, we don't really get anything. And then the next big thing needs to happen, the next big thing, and the next big thing. So it kind of feels like if a writer decided to direct a film for the first time. Now let's talk about what worked. What did work here? Sydney's daughter was a decent choice and a decent route to go. While I'm not saying Melissa's firing was just, and I did actually like her character, I just didn't think she was a good fit acting-wise for the film. I just don't think she really had the chops for this kind of film, I guess. And I actually preferred Isabel May's performance quite a bit better, to be honest. I don't know if that's a hot take, even if there was still some development needed on her and in terms of the character. But we still did get some nice scenes between Sydney and Tatum, trying to figure out Sydney's trauma and her protectiveness while her daughter can't live this normal life. And I think this is more of a realistic parenting style from Sydney compared to that of Laurie Strode from Halloween 2018. We also did have some decent scares, I guess, and a bit of gore here. Quite a bit of gore, actually. So this was, there are still some pretty cool kills, pretty gnarly, which will get some entertainment out of you. And I guess one of the better aspects was Ghostface was a bit more of a, well, ghost, where he would disappear in the background. You could see the mask kind of illuminate slightly from the lighting, which I did really like that touch. But that's kind of where it all ends.
That is one big pile of shit.
Here are my issues with the movie. Now, this is a repeated instance in today's Hollywood. There's not enough time spent with our characters for me to even care, even if they're going to die. Look, we need something. We need something, because all these guys got like 2 seconds of development and then they're gone. And it actually ties into my next point, but just even, yeah, compared to other entries in the franchise, we get a bit of, I guess, built relationship with the others, and then it's more of a shock and more of a gut punch when you find out maybe one of them is the Ghostface, but you didn't get that here. And look, the biggest issue with this movie overall is the reveals sucked so bad. Like, they were easily the worst of the franchise, and they were terrible. Their motivations made zero sense. I'm not going to get into any spoilers here, but I wouldn't blame you if you didn't get it, because there was no reason. We get this explained to no end in a everlasting monologue from one of the ghost faces. This was shoehorned in. This was terrible. And for one of the biggest parts of a Scream movie, which is the whodunit, this ultimately kills the movie. I'm sorry. The meta commentary was kind of weird and stupid. Clearly wasn't an important part of the movie, unlike a lot of the other films where it really is important part, like in Scream 5, with I guess the true remake, and then Scream 4 and even Scream 3 or 2, they all had it. It only really focused on Sydney being an icon, I guess, and how she should have been in Stab 6 or Scream 6. They poked a few jokes inconsistently there. So instead of being a real meta commentary, we kind of just got a few Easter eggs thrown at us, just that didn't really make sense with the story. So yeah, while entertaining at points, the movie just rushes relationships and doesn't pause to take a breath thinking, why does this make sense? Because a lot of it doesn't, mate. Despite my criticisms and stance on the movie, it was still watchable at least, so it's not the worst movie in the world, and there are plenty of other horror sequels that are much worse. It just doesn't really have that edge that gave the other films credibility. So due to the lack of an actual director for this movie, it's not really worth going and seeing it in cinemas unless you're a diehard Scream fan. Just wait till it comes out on streaming. IMDb, interestingly, gave this a 6 out of 10, and rightfully so. Rotten Tomatoes critics gave it a 33%, whereas the audience score gave it a 78. Easily pleased, I guess. My score is a 5.2 out of 10. This is probably the worst movie of the year so far for me. I haven't watched everything that's come out, but we'll have to see when the rankings come along. Stay tuned for my February ranking this week. We'll also do a Scream franchise ranking too. But yeah, this movie is just all over the shop, and it shows. Thanks for watching, guys. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you drop a like down below. It helps me out big time. Subscribe if you want to see more. We're doing so many movie reviews and rankings this year, so make sure you do that. Anyway, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.